and welcome to Chapter 3, Section 4, Dividing Rational Numbers. And this is connected to multiplication, so we are going to be using a lot of the ideas that we had when we did multiplication to understand this. So in front of you, you should have these notes. Please put your name on them. And the section is right here. It's 3-4, dividing rational numbers. Again, you're going to be doing this without a calculator. That basically means fractions. Yay, you're going to learn how to divide fractions here in this without a calculator. So let's jump right into things right here. The key concept is it begins with this math phrase we call the inverse property of multiplication. The inverse property of multiplication. Let's read what it says here. The words say the product, that means multiply, of a number and its multiplicative inverse is 1. All right, so here's what that means. You multiply something times something and it equals 1. All right, whatever that is, those two numbers are multiplicative inverses. Inverse. All right, those two numbers, whatever they are, and you're going to see what they are here in a moment. They're actually pretty easy to identify. It's harder to remember this word, multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse. Learn it, say it, love it. It's right there. All right, so that's what they're showing you right here in this example. There's an example right there. How about that right there on your paper? If you take 2/3 times 3/2, look what happens. 2 and 2 cancel out and become 1. 3 and 3 cancel out and become 1. And you have 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1 also. There's another word for that called reciprocal, and this is important for you, especially when you end up in algebra next year, hopefully. Reciprocal. Reciprocal is the multiplicative inverse, right? And we maybe have seen it reciprocal before. If not, let's take a look at a few examples. Let's say I have the number 2/3. If I ask you for its reciprocal, it's right up here in the example. It's the number that multiplied to get 1 right here. Right there, 3/2. So a number, 2/3, its reciprocal is 3/2, because watch what happens. Again, 2/3 times 3/2 equals 1. Like we showed you, those cancel out and those cancel out. So if you haven't figured it out yet, if you flip those numbers around, you will get its reciprocal if you take a couple numbers and flip them. So that's really pretty simple to identify. Let's say I have 4/5. What's the reciprocal? 5/4. Again, if you multiply, look, if you multiply 4 times 5, you get 20. 5 times 4 is 20. 20/20 is 1. What if I had a negative number like negative 7/5? All right, well, think about it. You have to end up with +1, so you have to have a negative number there. But you would flip it 5/7. Oops, can't write a 7 apparently. You multiply those two things, you'd get +1. But here's a weird one. What if I just had a number like 9? What's its reciprocal? Well, you have to think, there's my think bubble, you have to think that 9 is the same thing as 9/1. So if you have a whole number like this, you have to remember that. That's something you should know, that the bottom number of a whole number is 1. So if you flip that, you'd end up with 1/9. So there's some examples you should have down on your paper. Squeeze them in there somehow if you can. I know I've got a little bit of extra space than you do, but do the best you can to get everything down here. So then we go to the bottom of your page and it says to multiply, remember this phrase, to multiply fractions. Oh, and I wrote that wrong. Guess what? I made a mistake. Cross out that word multiply. Write the word to divide. It should be fractions. I just saw that after I printed everything. All right, you'll have to change that on your paper. It says to divide fractions, remember the following phrase. All right, I'll give you that phrase in a moment, but I want you to notice right here what they did. Take a look at the example, okay? And the words, they tell you right here. To divide a fraction, multiply by its inverse, its multiplicative inverse, which we just talked about. All right, so take a look right here. It says 4/9 divided by 3/5. Look what they did here. They took the 4/9 and they kept it, 4/9. But then they changed it to multiply, Then look what they did to the 3/5. They flipped it. They kept that number, they changed it to multiply, they changed it to the reciprocal. Here, they're showing you the same rule. Look at it. A over B divides C over D. See what they did? A over B is still A over B, but that's now multiply, and they flip D over C. And don't worry about all that stuff. I'll explain that to you later. They're just saying that D cannot actually equal 0. That's a whole other thing we'll deal with later. So they kept the first number, they changed it to multiply, and they changed it to the reciprocal. So remember this phrase. Now this is about division. Remember the phrase keep, change, change. All right, if you have a division problem, you're going to keep the first number. You're going to change it to multiply. And you're going to change the second number to the reciprocal. Okay, now I'll put a little separator here so you know what we're trying to do. Keep, change, change. Keep, change, change. Keep the first number, change to multiply, change the second number to the reciprocal. And that's how you do it. At that point, you just multiply. Follow the rules of multiplication that you've done, that you learned in the previous section. Let's look at some examples here where we've got a little bit of time left for this video. We'll see how far we can get. First of all, it says find the multiplicative inverse of each number. 6/7, well, that's easy. That's 7 over 6. You just flip it, right? Multiplicative inverse, that means reciprocal. Now, number 2 is a little crazy because you have a mixed number. You have to change it. You do have to fix it. 5 times 2 plus 1, the check mark. 5 times 2 plus 1. 10 plus 1 is 11 over 2. So its reciprocal is -2 over 11. That's the answer there. But you do have to change that to improper fraction first. All right? The reciprocal of -63 would be -1 over 63. How about this one? You're going to change that one. I hope you're saying yes. 9 times 10 is 90 plus 9. That equals 99 over 10. So the reciprocal is 10 over 99. Right? This one would be -1 over 101. And this one would be 35 over 11. Now make sure you're hitting pause because I'm going a little bit fast here. But if you're not getting it, please hit pause, go back and review this because you do need to know how to find the reciprocal of a number correctly. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here because that's the introduction. Now I'm going to apply these rules in the next video as we start multiplying.